Hey, it's America's Man's Man coming to you from just north of the hub of the universe, Boston, Massachusetts, USA. I want to talk about so-called social issues, just like being so-called gay, which is really homosexuality or sodomy, as the Bible calls it, right? So let's start with that. So homosexuality, sodomy, not a social issue. People often say, well, I only care about the economic issues. You have all the pundits getting on the fake news, which is highly censored, just like the boob tube. That's right. And I'm of course referred to the idiot box and not YouTube. Of course I am talking about YouTube. We'll just get that out in the open there. Don't want to say that too loudly though, because the Gulag censors are indeed cracking down on truth, because the truth is becoming so loud. The FANG companies are threatened by it. But we're here to talk about, well, you have the pundits get on TV, and of course they're all scared. They're all cowards, just like the rhinos in Washington and on faux news. I mean Fox News, like Peter Johnson, who lured me, his producer, who eventually fled to CNN. Peter Johnson lured me with the promise of, we're all friends here, Fox and Friends. Well, I guess Fox and Friends these days is a little too friendly. Although, to their credit, they did lose. They did willfully lose the bad ship that was Shep Smith. Shep Smith now going on a rampage of defense, or making a big defense of the fake news in his much earned time off. So what's a social issue? Well, a social issue is the way that the left, the radical communist leftists, have framed issues which they want to belittle. You notice that there was zero coverage, and I know this from being in the fake news. There's zero, I am merging here, just be patient, that's why I'm turning out the light for a moment. Got to be safe, first of all, that's our number one priority when we are driving. The fake news is always on behalf of the left, which they profit from. Fake news is always belittling, actually the left profits, the fake news profits from instilling a harmful leftist ideology among the American people, because when people are miserable, they watch more fake news. But the left and the fake news belittles in a concerted effort to promote the misery of the American people, to promote all things leftist, all things communist, and the reason is that the media and the so-called elite, they're really not elite, but they like to think that they are. They like to think that they're better than the farmers and the people who really do keep those proverbial and literal trains running on time from sea to shining sea here in the land of the free, which is America. The left profits when Americans are miserable. Thus, the things that really matter go unreported, or they're mercilessly belittled. Homosexuality and homosexual marriage, being a so-called social issue, is a prime example. And it's a prime example just because it's been so effective that it has the framing of this very landmark and key issue pertaining to the willful and concerted deep state destruction of America from the inside out on behalf of the communists, either wittingly or unwittingly. This has really destroyed America. So the left calls things social issues because they want you to think. They want you to think. They want you to associate. Say, one of the very worst crimes a man can commit against a fellow man and himself, which is inserting the penis into the anus of another human being. And I'm sorry for the language, but they've sugarcoated it so much that sometimes we forget what they think being gay really means. So we've taken this epidemic of homosexuality, and we've whitewashed it. The media, in concert with the Democrats, and the Republicans, who have just kind of gone along with it willy-nilly, big fat rhino behind in the room. It's true. The rhinos have just gone along with it and said, "Oh, turn me over and do it again, donkeys." All right, we're getting a little bit carried away here with the analogies, but you get the picture. I think I've made the point. It's definitely a point you don't want to make too finely, but in any event, we've got some really, really bad apples in the fake news that have been devious with in concert with the homosexual activists, who themselves are either sick or demented, or they're just trying to really make really rob the middle class of any and all dignity whatsoever. And that's why they've done this, because that's how they maintain their elite, the so-called elite ruling class here in America. It's not, and you're not going to fix that by getting rid of capitalism. Actually, that's how you destroy America, and you would instill a more permanent ruling class, which is not what we want here in the land of the free, the home of the brave, because that would make America not America anymore, right? And the last four presidents have duped us into, Clinton, doesn't matter, Republican, Democrat, Clinton, George W., George H., all of them have been working to really destroy the fabric of the American people. Probably more because it's just easier to do that when you're in a position like that. We've all heard about skull and bones and all that, but moreover is really just this desire to keep feeding their grandchildren, which I guess any of us wants to do, except the problem comes when, so beautiful, the snow here, I love it, here in the hub of the universe. I've always had this sick love of driving through the snow in the one-horse open SUV. Is there anything more American than that? Anyway, so long story short, homosexuality, not a social issue. It's an economic issue, no more than the Civil War was about slavery. Because here's the deal. Civil War was fought for mainly economic reasons. And, the freedom that African Americans have found since then, Negro, what have you, that has been, one of the positive results that came. But the Civil War wasn't the so-called Civil War, really the war of northern aggression, or the war betwixt the states, if we want to be honest about it. Because Civil War, talk about oxymorons. But again, that further goes to serve how the framing of an issue can really mislead people about what the heart of it is all about. And when you have men who are again inserting their peniniflalian, I don't want to say penis, because it does sound so adolescent. You remember that game? It's like, who can say penis the loudest? I don't even know if can I say penis on YouTube. They're probably I know they're going to axe the channel eventually. That's why you should follow me on americasmansman.com. Also, because there's tons of stuff on there you're just going to fall in love with. Not to mention, including, of course, the aptly named fallmusical.com, and hundreds. Oh, my Christmas card to you. There's just so much there I can't get to in this video, but check it out. americasmansman.com is your primary point. And also, if you want to get the fastest response from America's Man's Man, that's where you want to comment, because this channel, who knows, really, it's just a matter of time before Larry Summers, Larry Page isn't at Google anymore. Larry Summers was actually a pretty decent guy. He tried to make all these points, but he feared for his the demise of his own career too, and that's why, history suffers when good men are too much of a coward to do anything. And he had the whole biology of the male brain versus the female brain. It's common sense, folks. In any event, when you have, I know. You don't want to laugh like Nancy Pelosi, but it's very tough subject matter to cover. I don't want to be talking about a man sticking his penis in another man's ass, but this is where, unfortunately, liberal academia has gotten so in their heads, when you get analysis paralysis, and I guess this is their last resort, is that they're prescribing that the solution for millions of innocent children, it's so sad. It's so sad. It's an awful predicament we're in. But that's why America's Man's Man is leading the millennials out of the proverbial desert. If I can say millennials, really generation. Let's call it generation. It was called Generation Y, and millennials decided, well, we don't like that. It's not really all about us, all about you. Generation Y. We're called that because we millennials. For millennials, marketers recognize we are so selfish, so self-centered as a generalization. I try not to be, but that's what millennials typically are. It's all about you, and I'll just rebrand myself. I'll just call myself Jimmy the Richter because that sounds really cool. I've always wanted to be a Richter. I don't know. Anyway, homosexuality is not a social issue. If anything, it's an anti-social issue, just like the social media, the so-called social media is actually anti-social. You want to be healthy, spend less time on social media, and whatever you do, guys, don't stick your in another man's, it's just not cool. And that, more than anything else, is what's slowing down the engine of American enterprise, the ability of men to think with true creativity and innovation, which only happens when you're living a stable, happy family life. And, for all of the trials and tribulations that comes with being a family man, end of the day, that's what you really want if you're honest with yourself. And America's Man's Man is going to help you do it. Even if you don't think you're capable of it, I'm here to tell you, that's right, you, who may identify as a homosexual, listen, there's hope for you. You can change, and America's Man's Man is here for you. You take care, and this is, of course, America's Man's Man. We'll see you over at americasmansman.com.